All right, today we're going to do something a little different. We're going to crack a code. And not just any code. This is the hidden code that organizes all the information flying around us. Seriously, learning to read it is like getting a superpower in today's world. I mean, let's be real. We are all drowning in a sea of information, right? It just feels endless. But what if I told you there's a hidden pattern in all that chaos? A kind of secret map that could guide you directly to the stuff that actually matters. Well, it turns out there is. And we're going to approach this whole thing like a detective story. We're putting on our detective hats and using a real scientific method to finally crack this information code. So every good detective needs a toolkit, right? Ours is called bibliometrics. Now, it sounds kind of fancy, but the idea is actually super simple. It's basically the science of using numbers and data to find patterns in things like articles and books. You can almost think of it as data science, but for libraries. Okay, so bibliometrics is this whole big field, and it has a few key rules, or laws. But for our investigation today, there's one that really stands out. It's our smoking gun, if you will, the most powerful tool we have for dealing with information overload. And it's called Bradford's Law of Scatter. And that brings us to our lead detective, the guy who discovered this clue in the first place, Samuel C. Bradford. He was a British librarian way back in the 1930s who was looking at all this chaos in scientific journals, and he noticed something, a hidden order. He figured out you could group journals into these zones of decreasing productivity. A really simple idea, but with absolutely huge consequences. And that incredible discovery, that's what became Bradford's Law of Scatter. This is it. This is that secret map we've been talking about, the one that helps us navigate the sea of information. So, what was the big idea? What was his key insight? It's this. The most important, most useful articles on any given topic, they aren't just spread out randomly, no way. They actually cluster together in a really predictable way, inside a small core group of sources. He broke it all down into 3 zones. And to get it, just imagine you're looking for the best restaurants in a brand new city. The core is like that handful of famous must-try spots that everybody tells you about. Then you've got the second zone. This is a bigger list of really, really good places, but maybe not as famous. And finally, the third zone. This is a huge, sprawling list of pretty much every other decent restaurant in town. Bradford realized information works the same way. You'll find about a third of all the good stuff in a tiny core of sources, the next third in a slightly larger group, and that final third is scattered across a massive number of other places. Okay, so that all sounds pretty neat in theory, right? But does it actually work in the real world? Well, let's look at the proof. Let's see this law in action. And here it is. This is a real-world analysis from 2011. Researchers tracked over 1,300 articles on one specific subject to see if Bradford was right. So let's break this down zone by zone and see what they found. All right, let's start with zone 1, the core. Now get this. To find the first third of all the relevant articles, they only had to look at 9 journals. Just 9. That's it. That's a super manageable number, right? Just 3% of all the sources they looked at. And those 9 core journals, they produced 429 articles. That's nearly a third of all the information, all concentrated in this one tiny, super productive little cluster. Okay, now for zone 2. To get the next third of the articles, you can't just look at another 9 journals. Now you need a much bigger group, 59 different journals. And those 59 journals gave them the next chunk, 499 articles. You see what's happening? It's the law of diminishing returns right in front of us. We're having to work way harder to get the same amount of information. And finally, we get to zone 3, the outer fringe. Now, to find that last third of articles, hold on to your hats. You have to search through a massive, whopping 258 different journals. And after all that work, searching through 258 different sources, you get the final 404 articles. The pattern is crystal clear. A tiny core is incredibly productive, and the rest of the information is just scattered far and wide. Bradford's observation from almost a century ago, it was spot on. Absolutely remarkable. So you might be thinking, okay, cool story, but why does a law from the 1930s matter to me right now in our crazy digital world? Well, because it gives us an incredibly powerful strategy to finally get a handle on information overload. And its applications are, well, they're everywhere once you start looking. Librarians use it to manage their budgets.
Researchers use it to get up to speed on a new topic lightning fast just by hitting that core first. It's the ultimate strategy for working smarter, not harder. But think bigger than just academic papers. This applies to everything: your news sources, your social media feeds, even software code. There's almost always a small core that drives most of the value.
Now, look, like any model that tries to explain the world, this one isn't perfect. It's not magic. So it's really important we take a balanced view and understand both its amazing strengths and, yeah, its limitations too. On the one hand, the strengths are obvious, right? It's objective, it's based on data, and it has huge practical value. But there are limits. For one, it kind of assumes every article is equally important, and we know that's not always true. Plus, the data itself can be messy, misspellings of names, or maybe it doesn't cover enough work that isn't in English. So yeah, it's a powerful tool for sure, but it is not a magic wand. So what's the bottom line here? What's the one thing to take away from all this? It's that Bradford's Law isn't just some dusty old academic theory. It's a practical map. It's a guide that literally shows you where the information hotspots are in any field, so you can stop wasting time and focus your energy where it's going to have the biggest impact. And that really leaves us with one final crucial question. A question for you. Think about your world, your job, your studies, your biggest hobby. What are your core sources? What is that handful of websites or books or creators that give you the absolute most value? Because finding your core, that's the first real step to finally conquering information overload.